Games that have a high level of difficulty is one of the few genres of titles that really sticks out to many people with high regard. Players like to have a challenge that'll really push their skill and make them better, just as long as the game that's difficult naturally calls for it in its gameplay and is actually doable at some point. Like take Elden Ring for example. If this game wasn't as challenging as it was, even with its amazing level design and unique bosses, the game probably wouldn't have been as praised as much and probably would have been forgotten by this point in time because people wouldn't have had that rage and endless amounts of attempts to remember. That and the world would have a lot less broken controllers and monitors that we lost too many of in the process. But regardless, the point that I'm trying to make is that hard games are fun and enjoyable to overcome just as long as they're done the right way. But what if there's a challenge put into the game that was made from the start to be strictly against you and is mostly deemed close to impossible? Well, for a seasoned gamer, that may sound like legendary mode on Halo 2, but for the current Destiny 2 players, the overall consensus is that it's unfair when speaking on a new challenge added to the game's latest season. Now, Destiny 2 is in its 21st season named Season of the Deep after 6 long years of the sequel title's expanding timeline. And in each of these seasons that run about 3 or so months, players are given weekly challenges to keep players with, shit to do and opportunities to gain XP along with possible bright dust, which is an in-game currency that can only be obtained from playing the game. So there is merit in doing these challenges, but one of the more recent ones has confused and infuriated a lot of players due to its almost impossible nature that calls for an absurd amount of attempts. This challenge involves players killing 12 enemies called treasure ladder combatants, which isn't a hard task on its own, but the ability to find just one of them is one of the most annoying parts because they only appear during the salvage mission, but their appearance isn't guaranteed as they rarely show up, leaving players countlessly redoing the mission just to get the 12 spawns of the rare enemy. And when I say rare, I mean like emerald block rare, because there's players like this guy on Reddit who claim after days of trying and over 100 runs, they still only encountered the NPC once, which just sounds ludicrous. Now as to why Bungie has decided to make a seemingly simple mission so egregious is beyond me. My only guess is to keep players busy and to have them playing for longer, since the majority of Destiny 2 players are pretty seasoned into the game and could likely use a challenge. But I think Bungie might have confused the word challenging with annoying, because people are putting up more attempts than a Super Mario 64 speedrun for no real reason. And apparently this isn't even the first time that Destiny 2 has even had a situation like this either, with them having a challenge with unnecessary goals due to low spawn rate in the previous season, to which Bungie eventually ended up reducing the required threshold to complete it. So whether they decide to do that yet again with this current mission has yet to be seen, but if the complaints get more widespread, that could probably happen. But what's even more of a blow to the face of the players is that the reward you get for completing this malarkey isn't even all that worth going out of your way for if you aren't a die-hard player. There's no gameplay prize or in-game currency that you gain from completing this particular triumph other than the season achievement, which is likely what players going out of their way want, but the lengths that they have to go through just to get it isn't the kind of hard that's fun, and rather a challenge that's needlessly complicated. Overall, this challenge isn't favorable to many people, so hopefully in the near future, Destiny does what it did in the past and change the challenge to something less unnecessary. So what do you guys think about Destiny 2 and this new mission, man? Feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, leave a like on the video, subscribe, check out the Patreon if you're interested, and I'll see you on the next one.